Welcome everyone to a licensing panel on the 1st of July 2024. I now hand over to Louise.
Thank you, Chair. The first item on the agenda, sorry, not Chair, thank you, Councillor. The first item on the agenda is to elect the Chair. Could I have nominations, please?
I propose Councillor Timpey.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tempe. Over to you.
Thank you, Louise. Okay. Right, so first of all we have Mr. Godfrey, Licensing Officer. We have Mr. Randolph from Environmental, Anna Stewart, the applicant, and Mr. Nick Semper, Licensing. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, we'll start with the Licensing Officer's report, please. Thank you.
Chair, we just need to go through the other items on the agenda first. You've got to sign the minutes of the last meeting.
I do beg your pardon. Okay, do I have everyone's agreement to sign the minutes from the last panel, the last meeting?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any disclosures of interest?
None.
Okay, none for me either. Okay, thank you, Mr. Godfrey.
Thank you, Chair. The report follows a standard format. With your permission, I will not read the report word for word, but I will highlight the salient points. The premises licence application was submitted by Chapel Bar Limited on the 7th of May 2024. The premises is situated on the commercial high street in Battle, opposite the Bull Inn. There are residential premises in the vicinity, including flats above the chemist and barber shop either side of the premises. The location plan, proposed licence area and photographs of the site are in appendices B, C and D, starting on page 17 of the report. The licensable activities are applied for are the sale of alcohol, on and off sales. Off sales was removed post-application, and that's from 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, and 11 a.m. 12:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Live music from 7 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Monday, and 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And recorded music 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And the performance of dance 7 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday and 7 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. The opening hours stated on the application were 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Monday to Sunday. 3 representations were made objecting to the application. 2 have now been withdrawn as the applicant, in response, on the 20th of June 2024, reduced the terminal hour times for the sale of alcohol and the opening hours. Therefore, I would make you aware that the times for the sale of alcohol are now Monday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m, and the opening hours Monday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The applicant has indicated that they intend to show the public, etc., how they will operate over a 6-month period and then apply for a major variation to extend authorised hours. And these hours are 11:30 p.m. close on Sunday to Thursday and at 12:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. There are notes on pages 5 and 6 of the report about deregulated entertainment that the panel may find useful. Members will need to make a decision or question the applicant about recorded music and live music after 11 p.m, as it would be regulated entertainment after 11 p.m. And this is bearing in mind the applicant has reduced the public opening hours to 11 p.m. Monday to Sunday. In addition, the applicant may have mistakenly applied for performance of dance, thinking that this will authorise patrons dancing. However, this is no longer a licensable activity. The applicant's operating schedule, Appendix A, starting on page 11 of the report, details the steps the applicant intends to take to promote the 4 licensing objectives. In the event of the licence being granted, these will be translated, along with the additional conditions already agreed between the applicant and Sussex Police, into conditions included in the licence, unless the conditions are modified by the licensing authority following consideration of any representations received. The applicant volunteered additional conditions regarding capacity, providing a noise management plan, ensuring the street is clean, under 18s only being permitted with a parent or guardian, using plastic glasses for busy events or evenings, and risk assessing and employing SIA staff when needed. Licensing has converted these into suitably worded conditions on page 12 of the report. The conditions submitted by Sussex Police are in Appendix A1, starting on page 13 of the report. These will be familiar to the panel. Under the prevention of crime and disorder, they cover CCTV, training stroke authorisation, incident stroke refusal log, outside areas, off sales, plastic drinking vessels, events and SIA. Under public safety, they cover capacity and customer permissions. Under public nuisance, they cover a noise management plan, and under protection for children, they cover Challenge 25 verification policy. For previous licensing history on this site, please see page 6 of the report. The panel may wish to note that temporary event notices have been given by the proposed DPS for the authorisation of on-sales alcohol and regulated entertainment between the 12th to the 19th of June 2024 and the 20th to the 27th of June 2024. I think we've received another temporary event notice which was for the 29th of June 2024, and that ends tomorrow on the 2nd of July. An addendum to the report has been circulated in regard to complaints the licensing team received during this period. There is also additional information that the applicant has circulated. Relevant representations of interested parties are on page 25. The application has been subject to the usual public advertisement via notices at the location and in the newspaper. 3 representations were received from interested parties objecting to the application. The representations are reproduced in full in Appendix E. Representation numbers 1 and 3 have withdrawn their objections after the applicant reduced the term in an hour for alcohol on public opening. The panel must now disregard these 2 objections. The remaining representation is concerned with crime and disorder and public nuisance. The need for other licensed premises is not a relevant licensing objection. Planning did not make a formal representation but did provide information which is detailed in the report. This information is for reference purposes only. The options available to the panel are detailed on pages 8 and 9 of the report. That's A, to grant a licence subject to the conditions consistent with the operating schedule modified to such extent as considered necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives. B, to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates. Or C, to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the designated premises supervisor. Or D, to reject the application. And thank you, Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Do you have any questions, panel? The licensing officer?
Thank you.
Yes, we've been shown some videos of a handheld noise monitoring machine. Can we place, what would they show to you? What would they indicate or mean?
Well, they wouldn't really show us anything because we don't know whether it's been calibrated or not. So in terms of the it just showing us, I don't think there's a date or time either of the videos either. So that's something that the applicant would need to right.
just to add, at decibel level 87, 85, we're just giving instant reading, where we would take them over a constant period of time to give you a level. Also, they don't really register impact sound, reverberation sound, or sound going through the structure. They are what they are. It's just a figure.
No, I think this may be a question for the applicant, but I wasn't very sure what we have some videos from the CCTV cameras. I'm not quite sure what they show us or why. I think it probably is a question for you. Yes.
Yeah, I had the same question. What was I looking at? It wasn't obvious. Okay, so now we have yourself. No? We have now.
It's applicant to present their case next.
All right.
Okay, am I live? My name is Nick Samper, and I am from the licensing guys, and we're representing the applicant here today. The applicant is Chapel Bar Limited, here in the person of Anna Stewart. So what are we proposing? Anna has taken a closed restaurant on the high street, has invested significantly into making it a family-friendly, sports-themed restaurant. Good for her. Breathing new life and business into battle. The overall sort of project cost is about £250,000. She's employing 7 people, and she's employed a further 3 SIA door staff that are called down when the risk assessment requires them. Now, it is absolutely true that Anna is not well skilled in licensing law. I'm sure you're all been duly trained. You appreciate it's a bit of a complex area, and therefore her initial application applied for things that some things largely she didn't need. On receipt of the representation regarding her application, she duly noted the concerns raised by some of those neighbours and dialed back her ask regarding live and recorded music to that terminal hour of 2300 hours. You'll also be aware of the comprehensive briefing in the bundle that live and recorded music to audiences of less than 500 on licensed premises between the hours of 8 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night are no longer licensable activities by virtue of the Live Music Acts, and therefore she no longer has a request for any regulated entertainment, including the performance of dance. Okay, so those matters with respect no longer lie before you. And what is left in front of you is very much all pretty standard stuff for any town centre establishment across the UK. Now, as you'll be aware, each applicant must be judged, each application, I should say, must be judged on its own facts and merits. The significant merit to this application is it's a quality application, correctly conditioned with specific, appropriate and proportionate control measures, thus minimising any potential that any licensing objective would be undermined. And we must particularly thank the licensing department who've exercised some leadership in tidying up those conditions along with the police. All of the recommendations we have been more than happy to accept. Now, in this hearing, the burden is on the applicant, us, me, Anna, to show that the proposed operation, supported by the proposed operating schedule before you, is capable of promoting licensing objectives and will not undermine them. Any representors, on the other hand, have the burden to show that the premises trading under the operating schedule before you would undermine the licensing objectives and would have to demonstrate that with evidence. In our submission, any subcommittee properly advised could only refuse this application if it is found on the evidence of the remaining representor that it is not capable, the operating schedule is not capable of promoting the licensing objectives. And so you may ask yourself, why do the representatives, the people speaking against us, the objectors in old money, need to produce evidence? And the answer is found in para 9.43, the section 182 guidance, which you'll be more than familiar with, which clearly states, and I quote, the authority's determination should be evidence-based, justified as being appropriate for the promotion of licensing objectives and proportionate as to what is intended to be achieved. So let me first walk you through who has made a representation, or actually, in this case, who hasn't. The licensing authority, here, ably represented by 2 of your staff, and they are the source of expert evidence on all licensing matters. Indeed, they're responsible for all licensing matters in Romford District. They've made no representation at all. The police, being the lead responsible authority and source of expert evidence on crime and disorder, and I'd extend that to ASB issues in Sussex, have rightly made their recommendations, which we've been happy to accommodate completely. There is therefore no extant representation from them before you. Trading standards, children's services, responsible authorities who protect children from harm, public health who deal with substance misuse, and planning and highways department and environmental health being the experts in noise and pollution, noise nuisance and what have you, and therefore the lead agencies on the public nuisance licensing objective in East Sussex, they make no representation. Now, this hearing is an evidence-based decision-making process, I would explain. You as a committee cannot be insensible to the fact that not one of the lead or expert responsible authorities has objected to this application or has presented any evidence against it. You can therefore rightly assume that, in the opinion of all the professional and expert responsible authorities, I should say, this application does not undermine the licensing objectives, otherwise they would be here in the room with evidence to argue vehemently against it, as is their statutory duty. Now, there were three original objectors, and these being local residents, 3 local residents. These probably come from good people. We thought long and hard about what they told us, and consequently, she's dialed down the application accordingly. The licensing department have informed us as a result that 2 of the representatives withdrew their objections, leaving but 1, so 1 and number 3 no longer lies before you, and it's not with respect, with my humble submission, I'd say. It's not for your consideration. We're left with, I believe, 1 representation left from a gentleman called Mr. Hurrell, who can't be with us tonight. He's concerned he's concerned that there are 4 other licensed premises and in the area, and by inference he doesn't want another. Well, that's an opinion, but unfortunately for him, Section 182 guidance is absolutely clear at para 14.19 that need, or in his case, we have no need for another, is a matter for the planning authority, I should say, and the market. This is not a matter for the licensing authority in discharging its licensing function. That's a quote from Section 182 guidance. He talks about parking already on a Friday and Saturday night around the opening hours. The High Street has indeed got double yellow lines and is frequently lined. He says it's frequently lined with parked traffic and drinkers from the Bull, who spill onto the pavement and which has seating outside. Parking, I'm afraid, is not a licensing matter. It's a matter for planning. Okay. Drinkers, he says, from these other establishments spill out onto the street to smoke and chat and exchange banter, which are fueled by alcohol, and they are not quiet. Well, he says that there are many other residential properties above and behind high street businesses, and the added noise till midnight is very unreasonable. Well, okay, we've reflected on that. We're not going to midnight anymore. We are going to 2300 hours. And unfortunately, that is one of the consequences of living in a town centre where the buildings are of mixed use. Again, that's a matter for the planning authority. Okay? And he states that he lives behind number 58, adjacent to the rear of 55, and close by the rear kitchen access. Okay, formerly, when number 55 was the Trinity restaurant, the rear kitchen was open and staff frequently gathered in the rear area close to his property and made noise and disturbed him. And that's easily fixed, because we will tell our people not to gather in the rear area. End of. Are we agreed on that? Okay, now the vehicle access to Mr. Hurrell's bungalow is along a passageway. Now, he tells us the area is frequently used by customers from the Bull Inn for drinking and smoking during wet weather, and is often used as a public toilet. And he therefore assumes that the situation will only deteriorate if a further bar was added to the high street. But frankly, I'm not sure that is actually true, because we have, and those videos do actually show the applicant walking up and down. Okay, she's holding a sound meter, and whether it's calibrated or not. But they are time-stamped, and they are geolocated, and they show that the things complained of in some of the, which we'll come to in a minute, this last-minute document's been produced showing complaints. So you actually show that those people aren't outside causing these problems. And with respect, if it's the customers of the Bull Inn who are going up this alleyway treated as a public toilet, well, they're not her customers. And Mr. Hurrell should address the management of the bull with his complaints. Okay? So, incidentally, the Section 182 guidance makes it absolutely clear that environmental health are the main source of advice to the licensing authority in noise and litter, and they take no issue with the application. Now, a couple more things have come out during the course of this application, and I'm glad we've got the opportunity to discuss them today. Firstly, there is a recommendation that a change of uses should be sought, coming as advice from the planning department, but not as an objection, not as a representation. We've taken that on board, and planning consultants, namely Martin Parish from the planning group, who's known to me, we do a lot of work together, he's been instructed to look into and deal with that aspect. Okay, so that work is already in progress. You'll also be minded that para 14.55 of the Section 182 guidance states that, and again, I'm sorry to quote you, lawyer knows it off by heart, I'm sure, that planning permission, building control and approval, and licensing regimes, such as yourselves, will be properly separated to avoid duplication. So again, in my submission, that planning matter does not actually lie before you this evening. Okay. You may also be aware that late last week, it was 13:02 hours on Friday, and when outside the consultation period, we were served, in fact, this lady was, I didn't get to see it until some time later, was served 3 working days before the hearing. 2 working days before the hearing. How many days it was, anyway, it doesn't matter. A list of complaints made against the operation of these premises to the council in the past few weeks. On its face, it does indeed look like a veritable tale of woe, but that document actually lacks any context. You will see that the police responding to and attending reports of serious disorder, for example, which have been reported coming from this premises, have found nothing amiss whatsoever, so much so that they did not even inquire at the premises if there were any complaints. Now, this premises is bristling with CCTV. And, okay, it's not calibrated, but clearly she wants to understand what is causing noise outside and whatever, and therefore she, of her own money, has bought herself a decibel meter. It's not scientific, I understand that, but it gives her a very good starting place to understand what is going on. And in recording those things, she has captured what is going on outside her premises. I'll give you an example. Only this weekend, somebody's phoned up to say their cattle were in the street outside. Anonymously they phoned up, but unfortunately they provided their mobile number, so we were able to phone them back sometime later, at the time actually, in the following day. Whereupon this lady went straight outside and showed there was none of her customers in the street, nothing at all. It's almost as if someone intent upon derailing the application has been anonymously calling in to register complaints, but none appear to be actually corroborated in the slightest. On the one hand, Anna has been provided with, has provided you, she had a mad rush around on Friday afternoon. I dare say that some of the stuff you've seen. She's recorded and time-stamped videos of her patrolling her premises, both inside and out, armed with that decibel monitor, proving that her premises do not cause public nuisance issues, as alleged. I therefore ask you, you're not here to judge who's telling you lies or who's trying to pull the wool or whatever. I would just ask you to attribute appropriate weight to these anonymous, unevidenced and uncorroborated complaints levelled at Anna and her new business. That's about as far as I'm going to go with that. Okay. Let me now talk to you very, very briefly about fear and speculation. The representor, the last man left standing, Mr. Horrell, speculates that were you to grant this licence, then he fears that there may be problems. There are two reasons why fear and speculation are not admissible in these proceedings, I would argue. Firstly, para 9.43 of the Section 182 guidance, which I've already quoted you verbatim, says that your determination should be evidence-based. Fear and speculation of what might or might not happen at some undisclosed point in the future, that's not evidence. That is what it is. That is fear and speculation. And secondly, and just as importantly, there was a ruling in the Daniel Thwaites and Wirral Magistrates Court back in 2008. It's called Daniel Thwaites and Wirral Magistrates, where Honour Justice Black, she was the judge, lovely lady, and she explained in her judgment that decision-making, your decision-making, should be actuated by proper, and real evidence. There are no histories. There's no corroborated history of problems with these premises. Nothing before you from the responsible authorities. And the potential for any such issues is more than properly addressed in the proposed conditions that have been signed off by the police and hopefully have gained some traction from the licensing authority who were able to advise us on them. And in any event, this is not a review process. We're not being asked to review what's gone on. We're being asked to look at whether this operating schedule promotes or it undermines the licensing objectives. That if there are problems in any event, Parliament has already provided you with a remedy to deal with any future problems emanating from licensable activities at this or indeed any licensable premises in the whole of Robert. You're already fully aware of it. Section 51, review proceedings. You're not afraid of using it. I'm sure if I go through your minutes, you must have reviewed quite a few over the last couple of years. So even were you to grant this licence today and problems were to ensue, then the mechanism to control them going forward is self-evidently provided through the aforementioned Section 51 review process. Now look, I've been talking to you for about 15 minutes. I'll now rest if that's okay, and I'll deal with any further questions and queries that may come up from the floor in summary. But I'd ask you, respectfully, I'm going to finish by asking you to favourably look on this well-conditioned application for this exciting business. Now, I know Anna is suffering from laryngitis or what have you, but she does want to talk to you. Some of the things she wants to cover is the mums and toddlers. You've got this idea it's going to be a sports bar, it's going to be England, you know, the people smoking drugs and peeing in the alley at the back and fighting in the street. She wants to talk to you about the other stuff. None of that's corroborated, by the way, but here we go. The mums and toddlers group, the pensioners, the veterans, the youth football, the battle boys football, all the stuff she's sponsoring. So I'm going to shut up now and let her have a chat. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Semper. Do you have any questions of the... Do you have any questions? Before we go to Anna.
Yes, there again, some of these things maybe Anna would answer rather than you. But we say about the music not being licensable. What happens after 11 o'clock with music? I mean, the customers should have gone by then.
They were closed.
They're closed.
Yeah, there will be no live or recorded music after 11 o'clock. Good question.
And again, it's just by way of background information. Who actually owns the lease or freehold? So via the company, no doubt. Yes. And there will be a question. We talk about a noise management plan to be agreed in the future, but I think we might want to hear about how that is likely to be put forward. What the ways in which noise could be managed for the future and agreed with officers here. In terms of the past alleged incidents, anyway, I think it's accepted somebody did cause a trouble when being told not to take a drink outside. There is an incident log. Was that logged?
Yeah, absolutely properly, because the police, police or licensing got hold of us and said that they were participating in off-sales. And I thought, we both thought, what off-sales? People aren't buying this stuff and taking it home. And they're saying that people are straying too far from the frontage. And I think one member of the public put their foot on the roadway or something, and the licensing authority wanted to treat that as an off-sale. So fair play to the lady. She said, in that case, nobody can take a drink outside my place anymore. One young man, when told by the SIA he wasn't taking his drink off the premises, objected, and the SIA dealt with that. Okay, that's the incident we're talking about. Am I right, Anna?
Yeah.
Okay. So save your voice for talking to.
And that was logged. That was duly logged. Yes. Yes. I think we'd like. I at least would like to hear from her.
Questions of Mr. Semper?
No.
Okay.
So first of all, I hope you can hear me all right. I've had laryngitis for about a week.
Can I just move your microphone a bit closer?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So when we first looked at doing this, I ummed and ahed for about maybe 8 to 10 weeks before we decided to do it. And with my husband and my grown-up children, we decided it was something that we could do and we could offer something completely different to Battle. I looked at what was failing in Battle, and there was lots of restaurants closing. I did my research, and I've been in business and multiple businesses for many years now, and I could see that at the moment there's not a lot of money in food sales. So it's got to be pushed a little bit more to the wet sale side, and it has to be something different. Everything's a little bit boring, a little bit stagnant. So I wanted to bring something that had a bit of everything and to use some of my background over the years of what I've been in. So we decided to go down a sport route. So we're showing the Sky TV, which is very expensive. It's £2,000 a month, so I'm tied into that as well, because nobody else is showing it because nobody else wants to pay for that. And then I didn't want it just to be about that. I want it to be about a bit of everything. So on a Wednesday morning, we've already started a parent and toddler group, and that's had a lot of feedback. People are enjoying that. We're doing bingo one evening a week. We've got a lot of the veterans coming in, and this week they enjoyed that as well. We're doing karaoke on a Saturday. And during the week, in the daytime, we've got families coming in. We made a quarter of our main room into a children's area. We have small little tables and chairs. We've got a colouring area. We've got games. We've got toys. And we've been really busy throughout the week. So I keep correcting everybody who calls us a sports bar. And I said, we're not. We're a restaurant and bar that's sport-themed, so we can give a bit of everything. Because I think at the moment that is the only way a business is going to survive. Because financially, everybody's dying. It's not working without being everything. And I'm trying to be everything. It's myself and my husband, my 4 grown-up children, and all the children are part-time, and my husband's part-time, and I'm going in pretty full-time, and I've took on a manager, and we've took on 6 other people to work. And I think it's going to be really, really good. But I've been full of anxiety. I think I've made myself ill. I've lost over a stone in 2 weeks. I'm full of anxiety with the phone calls, the complaints, and what the videos are that you have is every complaint that was sent to me, they've said what time it is. So I went and took the video off from that time where they've said there's glass outside, there's tables outside, and I took videos from during the night and in the next morning and when we first closed up showing you it's clear outside. Every night I'm personally out there making sure everything's in. I'm sweeping the streets. I'm walking up and down the street. You know, I'm checking everything. And even if the decibel monitor isn't calibrated, it's a video you can hear outside. There is no music. And we've had multiple calls from people. We had one lady calling me saying, you know, my baby's being kept awake. Can you move your people from outside, please? And we'll close at this point. And I was inside cleaning. And I said, I'm still here. I said, give me a moment while I go outside. And I looked up and down the street, and there wasn't a soul in the street. Not one soul.
Tell them about the drilling.
Oh, the drilling. 2 days before we opened, we had a lady come and knock on the door. And she said, oh, and please you stop drilling now. My daughter's baby hasn't been able to sleep all day because you've drilled all day. And I said, well, I've been in here most of the day climbing about on ladders using the sticky tabs to put up the wires for CCTV. I said, I haven't drilled anything. You've been drilling all day, she said. And I said, I haven't. And that was the beginning. And I've had an utter nightmare. And I'm really anxious. And I'm starting to think, what have I done? I'm tied in for 10 years. I want this to be wonderful. I want it to be what I thought it was going to be. And I think it will be once people realise we're not going anywhere.
Okay, thank you, Anna. I just have a couple of questions, which I'm sure my colleagues might have as well. You referred to your previous experience, so I can ask you about that. Have you been in hospitality before?
I haven't been in hospitality before, but for 9 years I was a registered childminder, and then I became an early years teacher, and I worked with children. We had a nursery. So that's why I wanted to have the children's corner. I understood the importance of having somewhere for mothers to go during the day where they can relax, where they have their children without worrying about the noise they make, the mess they make.
Can I come in just a second? You've got a history of working with licensable activities.
Yes, I have, just not in this licence.
Tell them about that.
I've also been a licensed...
I'm just trying to make sure she articulates the case as fully as possible.
Sorry.
She has
I appreciate that, but we would like her to speak. Thank you.
I was a licensed childminder for 9 years, and I've also been a licensed dog breeder for 18 years over 3 different councils, and I still am.
Okay. You have to turn it off. creates a problem when they're all on. Thank you. I appreciate the knowing about the other activities. That's really encouraging, because I agree with you. Diversification is the only way for businesses to succeed. When you say you've changed taken a part of the main bar, the bit that's being licensed, the red bit, where have you put the toddlers and the parents? And
It's not the red bit. When you look at the drawing of the bar, where the front door is, where you come in the front door, the left-hand corner there, I can show you on here, yeah.
what I'm looking
On here. So it takes up to the couch. I don't know how I can show you that. I'll just hand it round.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. I'm just curious.
That area there, it's been made into a children's area where I've just put the pen mark on the left-hand corner.
Which page are we looking
All right,
Yeah.
I'll come round. Can I come round to show you?
Of course.
And on
Yeah.
our social media, we have a lot of videos and stuff of this. And it's been well used so far.
Sorry, my point is it is part of the licensing area that we are being asked to look at.
During the day, yes, and on an evening, then I remove
Right.
what's there.
So during the day, there might be people drinking in there?
No.
There won't be.
No, so it's just so that's an area where children go and get the toys from. They take to the mums and dads. The mums and dads tend to use the couch area when you first come in there. We find during the day, and when they bring their children in. And on a Wednesday morning, we're doing coffee and cake for parents and children.
So when do you start serving alcohol?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. So I'll be saying then that at 12 o'clock there'll be no people drinking. Or the people gone, the children and parents will be gone.
Not necessarily, no. People with children go in and out of bars all day long.
That isn't why I asked you. But
Yeah,
thank you very
not
much.
necessarily, no.
Right, so, hi Hannah, thank you. Thanks for your introduction there. Just on your experience, have you had any experience of bar work at all? You're working there, and who is going to be managing the bar, and what's their experience?
Yes, when I was younger, I worked in a bar, and we've took on a lady called Rebecca, who's managed multiple bars locally, and she's going to be my manager.
Thank you.
What we recently found out after we had the ding-dong at the door on the first England match was the person was actually barred from every other pub in the area, but nobody felt it appropriate to come and tell me. So I went round all the bars after that with CCTV, what was going on. They all said to me, yes, he's barred, he's barred, he's barred. And I said, well, I should have known this. And we're now all joining Pub Watch because there isn't Pub Watch in Battle. To make sure if something happens in one place, it happens in every place, so we keep everybody safe.
That's all, Chair.
I didn't quite catch what you said. You said that there is a pub watching. There is not a pub watching in Battle.
There wasn't a pub watch until I went round everybody after that match and said we need to have one because I should have been made aware of what was going on.
Thank you. Thank you. And there was a question I was starting to ask Mr. Semper, but I'll ask you, is that it is proposed that you would put forward a noise management plan to be agreed with Rother. I just wonder if you have any idea how that might work, you know, what might be in it. I'm thinking of perhaps people spilling out onto the street to smoke and, music perhaps. How would these things be managed? How do you envisage it?
From what we've been checking already with the music, which is later on in the evening, it can't be heard in the street. And above us, we have offices, and I've been and spoken to both companies upstairs because they often work late into the evening to ask what the sound's like, and they said it's not an issue. Anybody who is next door either side, they're above, I know the slats either side, I have a notice on the door with my personal mobile number and my name if anybody wants to speak to me, and none of them have come to me. and we've been speaking to local residents, and it seems the only people complaining is the people I don't know who they are. All the local residents are telling me that there isn't an issue, the noise has been good, and we will continue to be checking our levels, you know, making sure people aren't making noise outside, and I'm in and out all night if people are going out for a cigarette, reminding them to be quiet. And from what I can see on the high street, my customers, because of what we're doing, are very well behaved compared to everything else I'm watching up and down the road.
I appreciate that you can't really control what happens on the public pavement outside, but I'm just perhaps suggesting, you know, there might be notices telling people.
There's notices everywhere already, on multiple doors and outside. And we've got 2 cameras outside, one going through the doorway and both onto our seating areas. So when we're at the bar, our monitor's right there beside the till. We can watch everything continuously out there and we can put volume on it.
Just on that point, Anna, on the outside space and on, you suggest about a noise plan yourself, and on page 12 it states about potential noise plan. I see a potential noise, not necessarily coming from inside, but on the outside space there. So no, it's not directly relatable, but it is potentially within a noise plan. Do you think you could any way you could limit the numbers out there, or limit the noise by lessening the numbers? Have you got any ideas about how you could do that?
There's only 4 chairs outside, and I am in and out all evening, and so are my staff, you know, seeing who is out there, what's going on, and if there is a group gathering, we do say, come on, lads, you know, we say it nicely, come on back in, you've got to be careful with the neighbours, that kind of thing, and everybody's been really respectful. And on our busy nights, we have SIA. They are costing me £330 a night. I haven't made any profit in these 2 weeks. This was mine. I wanted to show how we were doing everything. And they're stood there on the door, and that's part of some of the videos I've showed you, especially with some of the complaints where they said things have happened. And on that timestamp, the door staff have been there for 6 hours. You know, it isn't happening.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it? Do you have anything else? Anything to add? No? No more observations? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll go away and deliberate now, I think.
Chair.
Will you be making a decision tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
I presume.
Chair. It's probably appropriate at this time just to give the applicant the final chance just to sum up, should they wish to do so.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I summarise on behalf of both of us?
You can. I won't give you 15 minutes though. I'll give you 5 minutes. just a few minutes, please, Mr. Semper. Thank you.
Smart, family friendly, quality establishment, operating these hours, these reduced hours in accordance with its operating schedule, including a comprehensive raft of conditions, will undermine or will it promote the licensing objectives? Very clearly our position is that it will not undermine them, and all the responsible authorities raise no issues with its substance, its contents, and the additional inbuilt safeguards they've helped contribute. There is no confirmed history or indelible evidence of noise nuisance, pollution, safety, ASB, drugs, crime disorder issues with the operation of these premises, or indeed any other cause for concern evidenced involving this application or this applicant. That is an undeniable and indelible fact. So consequently, I respectfully ask that you do indeed grant this application for the premises licence as sought, supported by that comprehensive raft of conditions, and so that Anna, and so wish Anna every ongoing success going forward with her new and welcoming establishment, which should prove to be nothing but an asset for the High Street in Battle. Thank you very much indeed, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Semper. Anna, do you have anything you'd like to add? Or?
Just that I want this to be something really positive for the High Street, and I think it will be. I think once we're accepted, I think these silly complaints will stop because we already have the licence. And I think everybody that's talking to us is, you know, saying positive things, and I think it will be. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll retire now. Thank you. Licensing panel on the 1st of July. We have listened carefully to all the submissions, and we are bound to be directed by the principal licensing objectives and material considerations of prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. On balance, the panel accepts the evidence provided in support of the premises licence application, together with the letter of objection, and has decided to grant the application subject to conditions. In recognising the concerns raised about the specific issues under the licensing objectives, the application is granted subject to the following conditions. Proposed activities, day and times. The sale of alcohol, retail sale of alcohol, Monday to Sunday, 11 to 22:30 hours, on the premises, no off sales. Live music, Monday to Sunday, 1900 to 2300 hours. Recorded music, Monday to Sunday, 11 to 2300 hours. Performance of dance, customers dancing is not a licence of activity, but we are including it just for the issue that it might come up. Monday to Sunday, 7 to 2300 hours. The hours, the premises to be open. Opening hours stated on the application form, Monday to Sunday, 11 to 2300 hours. The conditions, we have accepted your applicant's operating schedule. We've also accepted the additional conditions that you offered. We have also accepted the conditions that you've agreed with the Sussex Police. So that's excellent, well done. That's it for that. So a copy of the panel's decision will be publicly available to all parties and published on the Council's website. There is a right of appeal, and that applies to applicants and to representers, which are the objectors. And that appeal should be made to the Magistrates' Court in Brighton within 21 days from the date of notification of this decision. You must contact the Magistrates' Court to establish the formal procedure for the appeal. Thank you very much, and that ends today's panel. Thank you.